Whisper in the dark place, eyes that pierce the shadow, voice that chills your cold face, nowhere left to hide, no, no. Running through the silence, echoes in your mind's maze, trapped in endless twilight, can't escape the mind gaze.
What up, home slices, home fries, and homes of other varieties? I'm Emily, the fine art medium, a psychic medium who specializes in the paranormal, and today I'm here with Mark from Clockout Films. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure, my name is Mark McCaffery. I'm a producer and actor with Clockout Films. The reason I'm here today is because we're working on a project called First State of Fear. It's actually an anthology project. It's about different Delaware cryptids and legends. Some of the different segments we got in there is Catman's Grave, the Witch's Tree, Fiddler's Bridge, and Pugwudgies. Right now we have an Indiegogo going on that we're hoping to get a little bit more visibility for.
Awesome. And so today we thought it would be a fun, cool experience if I did a reading for him using my deck that I've made. And it is surrounding the paranormal and spiritual guidance. And we'll start with my pre-channeling notes, and then we'll move into the deck pull and then just go from there. But before we start, did you have any questions? About how any of this works, or
Sure. I guess I'm a little curious about tarot, and I've had a couple of experiences with tarot cards, or not necessarily oracle, but I'm actually curious about how the whole process works.
Sure. So this deck is an oracle deck, so it doesn't have the 78 standard cards that a tarot deck would have, and so you just pick a theme of what you want. And so this one is specifically for paranormal and spiritual guidance. And I mean, you just, depending on the questions you have, you would pretty much pick questions based off of that area. Yeah, I mean, that's all that there is to it. And then in terms of pulling, I mean, everyone has their own pulling methods. Some people will just shuffle the deck and let the cards pop out. That's what I do. And then you have some people that'll shuffle and then just keep pulling from the top or the bottom. But that part, it depends on that person.
Okay.
Yeah. So, I guess we can get right into the pre-channel notes that I did a few days beforehand. And just for clarification, I don't know Mark at all. This is the first time I've met him. This is the first time filming here in this location. So, I mean, hopefully the notes make sense to you. But I just want to say that for those that are watching. But yeah, I mean, I guess I'll just go through the notes. I have some pictures because sometimes my descriptions are not that good and people are like, what's going on? So yeah, but when I do my channeling for the pre-channel, I always have a blindfold because I'm ADHD and I can't focus if my eyes aren't covered. So I'll just do a regular meditation with the blindfold, and then I take notes on what I see and then jot them down. I mean, that's pretty much it. And then if there are images that I see that I can render through AI, I will. And I do have some of those just so it's prettier to look at than some of my drawings, because sometimes when I draw, I do it really fast and it looks like crap. So, yes. And some of these images might not make sense to you right now, and maybe they will later on, or sometimes they just don't make sense, period. I mean, sometimes it's hard to filter through the things that I see, but I just write them down anyway, just in case it does apply. Okay. So, for example, I saw a bug head. I don't know why. Sometimes interpretation can be hard. Sometimes it can be instead of metaphorical, it's exact, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So, for example, with another client I kept seeing bugs. Like I would see them astrally. It would look like there would be a spider in front of me, and then ants. And then when I did her reading, she has a bug infestation in her house. So then it kind of makes sense. But for you, I don't know. You have any bug issues?
I don't have any currently, no.
Okay, good.
But I could see where that could match up with some things I've experienced in the past.
Okay. Because, I mean, like anything, every animal has its own energy, spirit, whatnot. So you can have bug entities, bug spirits. And if you're ever in a location that's like what I have here in this image, so it's literally like a cemented room area. There's a cement bench with a pillar behind it. Bug entities like that type of area. But that is one thing I did see very clearly was an area like this. I don't know in terms of like your film that you guys are working on, if you're going to any locations like this, or if there's anything like this you've been to, I don't know, recently, or just know of an area like that.
I do know of an area like that I've been to.
Okay. And like I said, bug entities love that space. So sometimes that could be like a warning of, hey, there is a bug entity there. You just want to make sure you are protected at all times, because they can attach and feed off of you like parasitic energies. Another thing I like to point out is this. I know it looks like crap, I'm sorry, but it's like wispy smoke energy that I was seeing, but it's actually negative residual energy. And I wrote stage 1 here, and you will see why later on. But I was also getting upper back pain and like shifts between like the shoulder blades. I don't know if you have that issue at all. Like, do you have any back issues?
So my back issues are more my lower back.
Okay.
But due to the style of workout that I do tend to feel a little bit of pain in my shoulders often. So.
Okay. I also kept seeing different types of dogs and faces of dogs. Do you have dogs?
Yes, I have 4 dogs.
That would make sense, because they were like piled on top of each other.
They actually do a dog pile every day because they sit on top of each other.
That's crazy. Okay, so we talked about that stone cement area. Did you want to talk about that a little bit?
I don't know I don't know that I want to get into that too much, but
that's okay. You don't have to.
Yeah, I think that probably comes from my younger years.
Okay.
When I was in my early 20s and getting in trouble still, let's put it that way.
Okay. As long as like this applies to you in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah, it brings back a very vivid memory, I'll tell you that.
Okay, so that does pertain to you. Now, Spirit wanted to just like throw this in here. It's a message regarding the creation of like horror films and anything in that realm. So when they are being made, especially if they have paranormal or violent elements in them, those things typically attract real spirits and entities of a similar vibration due to the law of attraction, but also because they like the fear and they like to feed off of it, even though it's like man-made, as in you're creating it for entertainment purposes. It's still a type of energy they do like to feed off of. And so when you make those films, it's always important to, during the creation process, that you have clear set intentions that the movie or project that you're working on is for entertainment purposes only, and that you don't want anything to attach or follow you home. So you want to pretty much say that nothing is allowed to come with you, and also too, in addition to that, as humans, light beings, we are creators, and we can create things based off of our energies too. And a great example, I have a client that he writes scripts for films, but the problem is he got so into it that the things that he was writing would come true, and he would manifest that stuff. So you also have to worry on that side of things, that you don't accidentally create things based off of what you're trying to create in your film, if that makes sense. But that's easy to take care of, and that just has to do with your intentions of making it clear that this is for entertainment purposes only. Nothing is allowed to come out of what you're trying to create, and nothing is allowed to follow you home or haunt or anything like that.
Okay.
So just want to throw that in there. And that goes not even just for Clockout Films, it goes for anybody in the creation space. All right, so I'm going to flip. All right, so I was seeing a moth. Now, moths have many different meanings. I wrote some of them down. I would just take what resonates, unless you have a specific thing on moth, like a special meaning that it means to you, then I would go with that. But in general, it means transformation and rebirth, the allure of light and guidance, aka seeking enlightenment, spiritual growth, the pursuit of knowledge, kind of what you're doing now, honestly. Intuition and messages from the spirit world. In a lot of cultures, moths are seen as like messengers. And then we have the soul in the afterlife, and then potential warnings and challenges. In my opinion, it kind of feels more like seeking enlightenment, spiritual growth, pursuit of knowledge, and trying to like transform yourself into being the best that you can be. Did you have any questions so far?
No, I feel like a lot of this is making a lot of sense.
Okay.
So, actually, it's not really a question, more so a comment. I like that you put out there that we should probably, that we should, not probably, when we're on set, make sure that we are covering those bases spiritually. Since this is a very spiritual production, the crew is very spiritual as well, so I think that really attunes with us.
Mm-hmm. All right, so moving on, I kept seeing this character from The Goonies. I don't know if that is it a show or a movie? I have never watched it.
You gotta watch it. It's a movie. It's great.
Sometimes I'll see things based off of the interest of the person I'm reading for. So if that's something like that you love, then that would make sense. But I feel like there's another meaning behind it, and I marked it as stage 2. Okay. So stage 1, I'm going to flip back here. Stage 1 was that like smoky energy. Stage 2 is that energy is transforming into like this thing. And that's when I started seeing this cloaked figure. And Goku, they're not the same. Like they're not, Goku is a transformation symbol. So the stage 2 of this thing is turning into stage 3, which is this cloaked figure. And this entity here is a type of thought form that has come from a collection of energy that has transformed over time. So stage 1, stage 2, stage 3. So thought forms in general, you can create them several different ways. The first one is through like intention. Like if you've ever heard of a tulpa, that's when someone purposely wants to create something and then it manifests through that energy. So a great example would be the Native Americans. When they would do their rituals, especially before a battle, they would call on a being for aid in that battle. And so a lot of times they would create an entity to help them win their battles. So that's a tulpa. That's through like intentional creation. The other kind is a poltergeist. That's a different type of thought form. That is from us, our energy. And so our energy sometimes, depending on the person, can be very strong, and we can move things. If you've ever seen, like any type of paranormal video, really, where you see things move around. Sometimes our energy can be strong enough to manipulate objects, and it can create its own little thing of energy. So that's another type of thought form. And then the other type of thought form would be one that comes from a collection of different energies from different sources. That's what this is. This thing came from many different sources. That's why it looks all screwed up. Because when you have energies like that, sometimes they take on the appearance of the origin in which it came from. So you have all these different things, and it kind of makes like a chimera type being entity, and that's why it looks all fucked up.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
But over time, it gains its own consciousness and gets more powerful, and as it feeds off of other energies, it just grows in power, and that's where stage 3 comes in this hooded figure thing. It's very elusive, and it has its own its realm it likes to hide in. And you're probably like, what does this have to do with me? It's an attachment. I'm sorry.
Okay.
But it's not super like severe in terms of like, I'm gonna get possessed. Like I would say 85% of the human population has some type of energetic attachment, right? Yours is on the like one of the least severe, like,
okay.
Which is why I gave you those incense.
That makes sense.
But a lot of times too, like this is where the trauma comes in. So part of the energies that formed it would be from your traumas of your past. You don't have to get into those, but it feeds on those traumas, and that is what it is attached to. And so, getting something in my throat, chakra area. I was gonna say too, like, because when I was doing the free channel too, I kept seeing throat chakra, which has to do with like not being able to speak your mind, or feeling like you can't say what you want to say in fear of the reactions or people's responses. But I feel like that could be either blocked or a source from which it pulls from. But I also suspect your sacral and solar plexus chakras is where it pulls from as well, from your traumas, because those have to do with like control, self-confidence.
Okay.
Like stuff of that, like umbrella emotions and stuff like that all are like in here, and control also. But yeah, so it feeds off of those traumas, and the best way to get rid of an attachment is to address those traumas, which, you know, depending on the person, depends like how they want to take care of it. So some people do therapy, some people do meditation. It all depends on what is most comfortable, if that makes sense.
Okay.
And once you address those traumas, it's got nothing to feed off of. And so then when you do the cleansing, like the physical cleansing with either incense or like holy oil or like Palo Santo wood or sage, then that knocks the rest off. And it doesn't have like those energy strings that are latched, because when you take out the trauma, you kind of take out those strings from it, like sticking onto you. And then lastly, I did see a red Persian rug. I don't know if that pertains to you in any way. I know it does in this location. But
so I had a red and black rug at home.
That's what that
It's
is, red and black.
So it doesn't quite look like that.
Mm-hmm.
But it actually is. Not sure. Excuse me. The style of rug is considered.
Mm-hmm.
It's got like the long thread. It's very like you can
Yeah.
kind of like pet it. I don't know why you would pet a rug, but that's like the feeling. It almost feels like as if you're like petting dog or cat.
Okay.
So that's the best way to explain that. I'm not sure.
That's
what style
okay.
it is.
But in Persian rug like art, I know red symbolizes happiness, joy, luck, courage, wealth, and a vibrant life force. So it could be more of a metaphorical meaning versus like an actual physical meaning, but it depends. Sometimes it can be both. And I think that's all I have for my notes, so we can get to pulling the cards. All right, so now we've got the card pull. I'm going to shuffle it a little bit before I start pulling cards. Like I said at the beginning, I kind of let them pop out when I shuffle. And if more than one pops out, Spirit will let me know whether to go ahead and leave them or put them back, because I typically don't keep ones that when I have multiple pop out, because it's usually user error, because I'm a terrible shuffler. You guys know my track record if you've watched my lives. So, makes sense. So first card is Negativity Absorber.
Sounds about right.
Nope, that was more than one. Interesting. Hey, we're lucky it didn't go flying across the room, so there's that. I was hoping some of your chakra cards would pop out, but that one is Breaking Cycles. This one's Generational Ties. This one's Unseelie Fae. Nope. But that's funny because Sacral Chakra did flip. I'll keep it. We have what? 5? Let me pull one more. Jeez Louise.
Oh, there you go.
No, that's 2. Even the attachment card did pop out. Whatever. Alright, interesting.
Oh, wow.
Okay, so alright, so I'm gonna go through each card and just pretty much say what I feel is going on here. Negativity Absorber makes sense. You're an earth sign. Earth signs tend to be clairsentient and empathic, and just tend to have energy sensitivities in general. I feel like you absolutely do have that. Doesn't mean you're like psychic or anything. It's just like, as humans, a lot of us are empathic, and so we pick up on other people's emotions and sometimes their aches and pains. So I feel like, plus the attachment thing, it's like with any issues you have, you kind of pick up on other people's issues, and then you feel it through your body like you're feeling it as yourself. And that's another form of energy in which the attachment can feed off of. Now we have the Unseelie Fae card. Now it's not necessarily saying that the entity in question is an Unseelie Fae, but it's interesting in terms of like what it looks like on the card itself, because it has like that messed up face. So it's more of a, instead of a metaphor, it's more of like the appearance of it. And then generational ties. I feel like there are certain things that have gone in through your family lineage. So I wouldn't be surprised if down your family line you have any type of member that did like energy work, shamanism, anything along those lines. I feel like you have that in your blood in general. And then breaking cycles. That has to do with maybe certain issues you may be having now and fixing any patterns that attribute to the attachment that you have going on. So if you have a pattern of attracting certain types of people, like narcissists, they tend to play upon empaths because there is a type of dynamic there. The narcissist can see the empath 1,000 miles away. And because they know they're empathic, that's why they're able to do the bullcrap that they like to do. Because the empath tries to, it's like they try to fix that person and try to make everything okay because they feel that type of energy. And so for them to not feel that energy, that's why they try to fix that person so they don't feel that energy and make themselves uncomfortable. But again, the narcissist likes that type of attention when that attention's on them, which continues that cycle of their bad behavior. So I wouldn't be surprised if you attract any type of narcissist or just any type of bad people in general, or it could be something that happened in the past that maybe you kind of like fixed already. But I feel like right now, in terms of breaking cycles, it would be a good idea to address any type of traumas and get those worked out. And then some of those other things that you might have going on in your life that might not be positive will also fix themselves, because that will also raise your vibration. And when your vibration is raised, you're going to attract like energy. So if you're more positive in energy, I'm not saying that you're a bad person. I'm just saying like sometimes our traumas can like attract other things. But like once you raise yourself up, you're going to attract energies of that similar like vibration. So I mean, as humans, there's always room for improvement. So I feel like no matter what, it's helpful. Sacral chakra, again, I was saying like the sacral chakra in the solar plexus, you hold a lot of your trauma stuff there. And that can also add to like if you have any digestive issues. Sometimes stress can create physical symptoms. And for example, I'll use myself. When I'm stressed out or have really bad anxiety, I get stomach issues. So that may apply to you, or it could just be more, hey, the entity is feeding off of this chakra. It's also feeding off your solar plexus too, but I'm glad that did pop out. And then someone close to you, with the breaking cycles too, I also felt like that you might have issues with relationships, which you kind of did validate. So I just want to be upfront with the viewers that he did validate that kind of before we were filming. But so I'm glad that did pop out. So, I mean, yeah. Did you have any questions based off of anything?
A lot of these make a lot of sense.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm actually really surprised by all that. So I guess you kind of already answered this before, but the best way to really get rid of that attachment, I guess, might for me be meditation. I think. Do you think?
Okay. Yeah. I mean, for me, I love meditation for any kind of like addressing traumas and stuff. And you just keep asking yourself, why? So why did this event affect me so much? And you just keep just asking those questions. And then kind of like those traumas and negative emotions you have kind of like come back. They integrate back. And it's like you resolve them. And so you just got to do that through a bunch of your traumas. And once you reintegrate most of them or all of them, you can do your cleansing with the incense that I did give you. You can still use the incense, even if you're not fully like figured out with the trauma stuff. I think it would still be a good idea to cleanse your space and start a routine of cleansing, especially if you're in filming sketchy areas for your movies and stuff. You always want to cleanse yourself afterwards because you don't want to bring anything home. And I don't know where you're filming for like your upcoming movie, but if you're doing any type of paranormal stuff in any type of haunted location that you know, because obviously you're going to want something creepy for your film, then you're definitely going to have stuff there anyway. So you're going to want to, you can use those incense after you're done filming and just like waft the smoke over your body. You can also use Palo Santo wood, burn it, and do the same thing. After everything, just do it before you go back to your house.
Okay.
But yeah, I think if you maybe start with once a week, doing your location, like your house, start with the most outside room and kind of work your way outside, like the front door or the door you use the most, because you want to bring all that energy out of your house. You don't want to trap it. If you need more instructions for that, I can always send you links to videos, because I do walk through of cleansing my own space. That way it's easier for you to like see how it's done. But those incense, again, perfect for that. It'll get rid of pretty much anything, those things.
Okay.
Let's see. And yeah, I would do it maybe once a week, and then you could probably work it to like bi-weekly and then once a month. But yeah, but it's also important to work on those traumas too during meditation, and just have your intentions set. And I think once you do that, you're fine. I mean, I don't foresee this thing going to be super hard to get rid of. It's just the trauma part that is hard for everybody, because sometimes people are not willing to address any traumas or any negative behaviors, especially like, I'm not saying this applies to you, but like addictions, for example, are the hardest to help people with attachments, because they will have to want to stop the thing they're addicted to. And if they don't, then nothing's going to change. So, but luckily, that's not really something you have to worry about. But yeah, that's all you really have to do. And like I always say to everyone, like if you ever have questions down the line or anything, you can always message me, whether that's, you have my messenger on Facebook, so you can do it that way. And I can, whatever you need, get you more incense, protective jewelry, whatever you need.
Okay.
I got it all.
Can I just say again, I think these cards that you have here are very nice. Like, I love the style. I know you'd said earlier that you created these yourself.
Mm-hmm.
I just wanted to give you kudos on that.
Oh, thank you. But did you have any questions, comments, concerns?
No, I feel like I should, but I
Sounds
don't.
okay.
I think it was very straightforward. I think you answered a lot of my questions earlier too.
Okay.
I guess the one comment that I will say is, I might have to book you for another session. Then you need a little bit more input on some other avenues in life, I guess.
Okay. Yeah, not a problem. And then this is optional. If you want to do it, we can. But if you don't, you don't have to. This is a light measurement chart to see where you fall on the scale. Obviously, you don't want to be here in the negative realm, but anywhere here is pretty good. It's just a fun little tool to see where you're at. It's really good for those who want to raise their vibration and to make sure they're not like energy vampires, or I don't know, they're not too low, because when you have a low vibration, like I said, a like attracts like, and you don't want to attract really bad things because your vibration is really low. But I suspect your vibration isn't that low. Like, I can feel your energy, like you're gonna be probably in here. But for funsies, did you want to try it?
Sure.
All right. So I have a pendulum here, and it's pretty straightforward. I have to rest my elbow on the table because I have shaky hands. So hopefully that will be okay. But and I don't want to manipulate the pendulum, you know what I mean? Because people will be like, oh, she's using her hand to swing it, you know? So I'm gonna put it center and see where it goes. So let's start here. You're like between 29K and 30K, which is really good. Actually, that's really good. So for just references, I'm around here. Like, I'm up between like 250 to like 500K.
Oh, wow.
All right. And that's with daily meditations and stuff. And do you meditate regularly, or is it you just do it once in a while?
I don't meditate regularly. I should, but I don't. Actually, I recently did a guided meditation with a friend of mine, and I felt like that was extremely beneficial and something that really made me want to get further into meditation. I do listen to meditation music a lot, but I pray but don't meditate.
Well, okay, so a lot of people have like this expectation versus reality thing when it comes to meditation. It's not always sitting in one spot going and just focusing or having an intention based off what you want during the meditation. So for example, some other ways you can meditate is doing something you like a hobby. So for me, drawing or painting, as long as you get into that flow state, which is the best way to describe it is you do something you really like to where you lose track of time. It's a great example.
So editing photos after I do a photo shoot.
Yeah, that could be your type of meditation. So there are many different ways. I know my husbando likes to run. That's a great one. So hobbies, anything creative is really good. And I feel like when you do a lot of that stuff, it helps your vibration increase. And so it doesn't surprise me that you are around here in the cosmic realm, but also because of your family lineage, I don't know how much you know about it, but I think it's also in your blood to where I think you've got some healers and shamans in there. So you would naturally be higher than most people.
Okay, that makes sense. A friend of mine brings that up quite a bit with me.
Oh, okay.
So I come from so I'm Native American and
I was gonna say something like that.
So he believes that part of that and my connection with dogs is a clear sign of that. But I can see where you're coming from with that.
Okay. I was hearing Mayan. Do you know anything about that?
I don't.
Okay. I wonder if you have descendants of that.
That would be interesting.
Well, I can do past life regressions and see. Can't do it now, but I'm just saying that is something I do know how to do.
Okay.
For future references. But yeah, so that's pretty good. And that tells me too that your attachment will be easy to get rid of.
Okay.
Because you're a higher vibration. So that's good to know. But I mean, that pretty much concludes this session. And you don't have any more comments, questions, concerns?
No, I think I'm good.
All right. Did you want to plug your social media, your projects, anything you've got going on?
Sure. So the one thing that I do want to talk about is Clockout Films' new film, First State of Fear, that we're working on right now. We do have an Indiegogo currently that we're trying to get more support for. It's been going pretty good so far. I think we have a little under 2 weeks to go on this one. Now, the First State of Fear, I think I said earlier, it's got what it is. It's an anthology about Delaware legends and cryptids. And the in-between scenes are about ghost hunters, and they're going to these different locations, and each location is going to represent the short stories within. So we have the Fiddler's Bridge, Catman's Grave, Witch's Tree, and Pugwudgies. And Dan Davis, who directed Slaughter Beach, who is also the owner of Clockout Films, he is also directing this. A very talented and creative man, and Brett Taylor, clearly, he's also very creative and very wise when it comes to filming. So they're great people. They both have been with, well, they are pretty much Clockout. So I wanted to give a little shout out to them. Mm-hmm. They brought me on, even though I've known them both for a long time. They officially brought me on last year. So that was a big thing for me. What I will say is, if you're into spooky things or the paranormal, follow Clockout Films on Facebook or Instagram, and learn a little bit more about the updates for First State of Fear. And if you can, show some support, and go onto the Indiegogo, which I believe you can find on the Facebook page as well as the Instagram page.
And I'll link it down in the description box below. So that concludes this session. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, please leave them down below in the comments. And I love reading them, and I always reply when I can. But thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you all soon. Peace out.
You're gonna learn a lesson today, boy. The lesson is work is way more important than playtime. And all you do is playtime. Do everything.
Hey all you boils and ghouls, it's Miss Terror Amberbrook here, and I'll be playing Colleen in First State of Fear's Puckwudgie segment. Now what's this all about, you ask? Let me tell ya! Think Creepshow meets Are You Afraid of the Dark? I know, sounds amazing, right? The movie follows a team of paranormal investigators on a spooky Halloween ghost hunt. They're gonna tell you 3 grisly tales based on Delaware's folklore. Now they're going to be told with a pulp horror twist and heavily inspired by EC Comics. What will we have? Well, we'll have a haunted bridge where the ghostly fiddler lures his victims into the fog. We'll have the devilish Puckwudgies, mischievous little creatures with deadly intent. Then we'll have the swamp monster, born of revenge, tangled in the roots of the witch's tree. Oh, we can't forget the monstrous Catman, the grave keeper who comes back from the dead. So if you like Tales from the Crypt, Creepshow, Are You Afraid of the Dark? Oh, then you'll love this.